Hello everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. Today's design team project for Kraftgali is going to be taking these little stamps that we have, these stamp sets that are at an awesome price point, and making a card with them. Sometimes I feel like I buy them and then I put them away and I don't see them again because they're little and they get lost in the shuffle. So we are going to unshuffle and pull it out, and we're going to make a full-size card with this small stamp set. So this one's from Avery L. It's so cute. Happy Easter. These little chicks are adorable. And we're going to do a little bit of masking on this card. I want my two chicks here who are in the seated position to be sitting in their little shells. So they've just hatched, and then their little buddies are waiting for them because they'll be outside the shells. So just because you have, I love that this little stamp set comes with 3 different chicks. I think that's awesome. But don't forget you can stamp them multiple times, and now you have multiple chicks. I know, right? Easy math. Oh, side note too, if you hear birds chirping in the background, it's because they are, and that is not fake. I have the window open, spring has sprung, and we are going to take advantage of it because I think it's supposed to drop down to 40 again later in the week. So we're going to enjoy this. It is early in the morning, and I have my crafting window open, and it's a good time. Okay. So you can see what I'm doing here. I took multiple Eastery colors from Distress Oxides, my makeup brushes, and I am blending on the color throughout this panel. I decided here that I wanted to go all the way down to the bottom, and so I go back and I'm just going to reblend those colors together. The Twisted Citron and the Mustard Seed look like the same exact color. I have no idea why. I'm thinking that's probably operator error. Maybe I didn't clean off my makeup brush enough. I don't know. But there we have it. So those are our Eastery springy colors. So once we get that done, I'm going to do a little water splatter because I love that distress look on this. And there really is there's nothing too realistic about the bottom part of this card. It's just for fun because I wanted pastel colors. So that's why I chose those colors. So I'm going to pull off my masks here. I did use some Post-it full back stick adhesive sheets for my masking that I feel like for these small images I try to use up my Post-it sheets because it's a lot cheaper to me than full sheet masking paper, and I like to keep my full sheet masking paper for large masking projects. Okay, so I get that done, and now I am going to get to coloring. This is probably the easiest coloring I've done in a very long time. I just pulled out some Spectrum Noir. You don't even really need 3 shades. To be honest, one of my favorite things about alcohol markers is you don't even need, if you don't want to do any shading, you don't have to. But because they're alcohol, you don't get that streaky look when you're coloring. Do you remember when you were coloring with like Crayola markers? You would leave that severe streak in your coloring, so you'd have to kind of keep going back over it. Well, with alcohol markers, you don't get that, which I think is magical. And so even if you're a beginner and you're intimidated by the whole shading process, that's okay. Take one color that you like, color up your image, and do flat coloring to start with, just to give yourself, the okay to go ahead. And then as you build it up, just add maybe a darker shade, where you think a shadow might fall. So I would say because when I first started coloring with alcohol markers, actually, let's be honest here on this channel, when I first started doing anything, I was intimidated by it. I think that's the scary part of trying something new, right? You just kind of are unsure, am I going to screw this up? Well, if you're going to screw up anything in life, let it be on paper, because you can toss the paper or flip it over. Well, you can't flip it over if it's alcohol markers, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I think just give yourself a chance. That goes for watercoloring. I have, as you know, if you've been following me, my journey of watercoloring has been interesting. I'm still trying. I'm still working on it. But right now I'm kind of in the phase of large florals or large images that I can kind of throw some water in and mix it together and it's not going to matter, versus if I'm coloring like someone's clothes and doing the watercoloring that way. I need some work on that, but baby steps. That's what we're doing. We're taking little baby chick steps here. So while I'm coloring this up, I will let you all know that if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I ran a 10-miler down in DC this past weekend. It was the Cherry Blossom Festival, or Cherry Blossom, yeah, the run. And full disclosure, when I signed up for it with the team, I was like, yeah, because I'm new in the job, and I thought this would be great bonding. It's awesome. I'm really excited to do it. I thought it was a 10K. So if you do conversions, that's 6 miles. Now, that's still far. Don't get me wrong. But I haven't trained for a 10-mile. So a week prior to the run, I was like, oh my, this is 10 miles. Well, I guess you're just going to be sore. So I ran, and then I asked for encouragement on Instagram. I actually slowed down to do that because I was like, listen, people out there in the world, you're going to have to get me through this run, because the last 2 miles was dreadful. Like, so dreadful. But I did it. I got through it, thank goodness. And then after the run, I started to walk back to my office, which was, by the way, 2 miles away. And I was like, no, this isn't going to work. So I saw someone zip by me on one of those little electric scooters, pulled over, downloaded the app, and hopped my happy self right on that electric scooter and flew to work. Let me tell you, those things go uphill, in case you didn't know. That was amazing to find out. So I got back, and all was good in the world. All right, so let's go back to the card here. I am using a Lawn Fawn Hillside border die on that top piece to get that cute little stitching. And then I just cut down the card a little bit because we're going to make it slightly smaller than A2 size. Now here I will show you that I don't know what I'm doing most of the time with alcohol markers, so I have to practice. So I was in person at a Neat and Tangled event with Kelly Latavola, who I watched her do little grass flicks with her Copic marker, and I have about 10 Copic markers, so I was like, well, let me try, because with Spectrum Noir and other alcohol markers I have, they don't have the same kind of brush nib, so it's a little more difficult to make that flicking where it's thicker on the bottom and smaller on the top. So I just pulled out the one of 2 green Copics that I do have, and finally gave them some love, because I never use my Copics. And so then I'm just flicking the grass right underneath where the eggs are. No rhyme or reason, I'm just trying to keep it, you know, around the part, just to add a little bit of grounding to these, because I could have used shading, but I decided that I wanted to try to use this technique instead. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. I thought I never hit record as I was talking. But you're talking to yourself, Mary. I'm always talking to myself, but in this case, specifically to myself. Okay, so now I've taken and spared you, but I just used some Distress Oxides on a Bristol Smooth cardstock to get that look, and then I'm going to flick some water on there just so I can get that droplet effect. And this is going to be my sky. This card is like lots of color all up in your face. I wanted to celebrate spring. I wanted to let everyone know I was very excited about spring coming. There's just something about the smell in the air. I love it. So it's very nostalgic for me because I haven't lived in the Northeast in 17 years. And so the rest of the world is very different from the Northeast. So I'm really just excited to be back to experience all 4 of the seasons. I take that little butterfly from the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that little cutie 3 times out on my cardstock. Now this little sun in the center is just a memory box die I had in my stash sitting around, and I just pulled it out. I just colored that up with some Distress Oxide as well and stamped that down. And then back to the butterflies, there's this little dotted, like they're flying, stamp in there too, so I'm going to use that also. I'm going to cut up my stamp here so that I can have my sentiment going vertical, not horizontal, and just stamp that out, Happy Easter. Does anyone really care if you cut your stamps? I know I hear a lot of crafters say, like, it's okay, it doesn't hurt them. Obviously, it doesn't hurt them, but do you guys even care? Like, if you cut your stamps up? I don't even care. I'm like, as long as I cut it correctly, it doesn't matter to me, but I think the only pain in the butt part about it is now I have 2 pieces to monitor because I'm notorious for losing stuff. Okay, so here I popped up my bottom panel, and then I didn't mention it, but I colored in my butterflies with some gel pens because that is opaque and it will cover over the blue of the Distress Oxide. So you can do that. You don't have to mask every single little thing if you don't want to, especially small images like that. I just used some gel pens. So I'm going to pop up the bottom but lay flat the sun using some art glitter glue there to lay that flat down. And I just like the sun kind of setting back. And you actually can lower that sun to kind of look like the horizon. That would be kind of cool too if you did that. I'm going to take some Elmer's Glue All, and some of you are probably like, Mary, what's with the switch up of the glue? Well, that's because I have bottles for days since I did my glue review. And these are the ones that made the cut in the top 4. I think I picked my favorite top 4. Anyway, I am placing this down on some gray cardstock, and I am going to then place it onto my card base. So I get a slight border of both the gray and the white. So yeah, I finished off that card, and that is pretty much going to do it. I'm not going to add too much more or nothing at all actually to this card. No embellishments. I'm going to keep it kind of easy to send through the mail, and hope that brightens somebody's day with a little bit of Easter love coming their way. All right, that'll do it for the card. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and for crafting. We'll list everything we used below in the description box, and if you have any questions, we always love to hear from you. I love interacting with all of you. You can find me also on Instagram and Facebook. I post not frequently, but if I don't do a video, but I find either a good deal or I want to share something with you all, that's a good place too. I'd love to connect with you out there on social media. And until next time, don't forget to hit subscribe. And here's a couple more videos to hold you over till we see you for another Kraftgali video next Saturday. So we'll see you soon. Have a great week. Bye-bye.